Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. Today, we're going to talk about the highway code. Now, as you know, the word code means either a cipher, a puzzle, a computer code, or it can also mean an ethic or a code of policy within which you're supposed to work. So in this case, we're going to talk about the highway code, which basically gives the rules which you must follow when you're driving. It's a document and it's called the highway code. The highway code. Now, just to give you a few other examples, if you go to work for an office, there's a code of conduct. If you go into politics or you work in the political system, there are government codes that you have to follow. So code in this case means an ethic, a rule, or a principle within which you're supposed to behave. So the highway code is Britain's guide to the roads. And from time to time, it gets updates, and drivers are supposed to be aware of what those updates are to make themselves familiar with them. Now, the government at the moment is very concerned because it's saying that many drivers think that they have full control of the road, that the road is their domain, and that means that they have a right to expect cyclists and pedestrians to move out of the way so that they can drive freely. And the government's now saying that unfortunately more and more accidents are occurring because drivers simply aren't respecting the rules of the highway code, which gives full permission for pedestrians to cross the road without worrying about being hit. Also, horses and cyclists can now take precedence in the road. And the government's worried because it's seeing that the behaviour of drivers around the UK makes it look like something is very, very wrong. So if you get the chance, do have a look through the highway code, this document, if you're interested in driving. I'm sure you can find it free online. I know that you're supposed to buy it, but I'm sure there'll be online copies around as well, especially of the older ones, because they should be freely available, and that'll give you an idea of the rules we have to follow. Basically, the highway code is a set of information, advice, guides, and mandatory rules for road users in the UK. So every department of the UK, and what I mean by that are our countries which are under UK rule but are not British, they'll have their own version of this. The Highway Code's goal is to promote road safety and to ensure the smooth operation of the road traffic system. The code covers various topics, including driving behaviour, the right of way, that means who gets to go fast, speed limits, signs, road markings, as well as information on how to behave in emergencies. Yeah, it's strange they would have to actually tell us that, bearing in mind our politeness. It applies to pedestrians, cyclists, motorcyclists, horse riders, and drivers of motor vehicles. Compliance with the rules in the Highway Code is legally mandatory in some cases. Failing to follow its guidelines can result in fines, points on a driver's license, or even criminal prosecution for serious offences. The highway code is regularly updated to reflect changes in law and road safety practices. Some of our road signs, though, really are a little bit strange. I mean, the funniest one I've seen is a picture of a car with a motorcycle above it. Now, I don't drive, so I often guess at what these road signs mean. When I see a car and a motorcycle above it, I'm thinking, "Oh, is this some kind of accident-prone style of driving, where the motorcycle is going to try to jump over the car?" Or is it some kind of racetrack that's ahead where motorcycles will be crossing over bridges with cars underneath? It's very easy to misinterpret those. Apparently, the road sign featuring a car and a bike on top indicates a shared route for both cars and bicycles. The signs used to alert drivers that they should expect to encounter motorcycles or cyclists on the road, and it's reminding them to be careful. Yeah, we have a few weird road signs in the UK. Another one of my favorites is a big sign which says "sign not in use," which is very strange. So they basically paint over a road sign and then write in it "sign not in use," which is a little bit weird. In the northern part of the UK, you'll see some other strange road signs, particularly in the countryside. There's a yellow one that I've seen in the past where it shows a deer, the animal, attacking a man, and is to warn you that there's deers wandering around. And now I'm sure we have ones for cows as well, because cows are very dangerous. Yeah, there are some extremely unusual ones. So if you are ever driving in the UK, you can have a look around. There's also one of a car which is falling into water. I'm not sure what that's supposed to represent. I suppose it's to tell you there is a danger that the car might fall off the edge and go into the water. But yeah, they're very strange, some of these road signs. And some of them really aren't worded properly. There was a big discussion here in the UK a few days ago because somebody had spelt a road sign in Wales incorrectly. And of course, people with nationalist opinions were very unhappy, and they were saying more care should have been taken to make sure that the road signs are accurate. Yes, slow-moving military is another one, which is letting you know that there are soldiers there, but they're moving very slowly. I've never seen a soldier in the UK, even though I'm British. I've never actually seen a soldier. I've seen boys dressed as soldiers in order to get money. Presumably, they belong to some part-time or voluntary unit of our military, but I've never actually seen a real soldier. Plenty of retired ones around who dress up on special days and sit in wheelchairs, but I've never seen a real one. Isn't that strange? By the way, for those of you who usually listen to this podcast on italki, there seems to be some problem at the moment that I'm unable to upload podcasts, so I'll keep them all, and when I can upload them, I will, but there may be a delay before you can actually see them. Okay, so just keep that in mind if you're trying to find me on my italki podcast. Okay, well, I wanted just to give you some updates on our highway code, and just to clarify, The highway code is the document which drivers have to refer to when they are making decisions driving on the road. They're supposed to be familiar with it so that they don't have to stop and read it. If they're caught breaking one of the rules in the highway code, there are very serious penalties which are often applied automatically. We have CCTV cameras everywhere. So you might be driving, next thing you know, you get a letter telling you that you've been fined for something. So you might not even have to encounter the police. So it's very different from driving in other countries. And I was saying that the word code in English has many meanings, of course, like coding for the computer, code as in a cipher or a puzzle, but as a policy, it has many purposes. One of them is standardization. It establishes standards on behavior and practice. Another one is guidance. It provides members of the public with guidance on how to act in various situations like emergencies. And as I've told you before, British people, we don't really act very well in an emergency. Excuse me, there seems to have been a car crash. Would you mind calling the police? Bizarre, isn't it? Accountability. It creates a framework for accountability, allowing for actions to be looked at closely and measured against particular standards. And also protection. A code protects the interests of the organization, its members, and the public by giving it integrity. So the highway code, that's exactly what it does, okay? It creates a standard for drivers. It provides members with guidance. It creates a framework for accountability and protects people on the roads. They are often developed through a process of consultation. They're not just given to us by the government, they're agreed by everyone, and then there are ways in which they can be enforced. There's mechanisms in place. That just means that there's ways that they can be monitored. They really are essential for promoting ethical conduct, including professionalism, building trust, so that we all know, in this case, that we're going to be safe on the roads. Speaking of codes of conduct, I see that a woman from Ecuador who was cleaning an office, a law firm in the centre of London, she was fired because they caught her eating a tuna sandwich. The idea basically is that there was a meeting with sandwiches. The meeting was over, and then she was asked to clean the room. So, of course, there was all this food left over, and she ate a tuna sandwich before disposing of the rest of them, and she was fired. That law firm makes 21 million in profit every year. She earns £13 per hour. So there's now on social media a team. I think they've been organized. I think it's been organized by a local charity to help her financially, and also to sue the company which fired her. So there's a move on social media to help her, and people are donating to that as well. But I'm not surprised. These large companies often treat cleaners with a lot of disrespect. It's really, really sad. I've noticed that before. So they fired her because she ate one of their tuna sandwiches, and their argument is she took client property. And of course, it's only a tuna sandwich that was going to go in the bin anyway. So it seems a little bit over the top. And of course, no disregard for her status. She's obviously here trying to make ends meet, which means trying to survive. And in a city like London, that's almost impossible, because the moment you lose your job, you may have trouble paying your rent and everything else. But I've seen this happen over and over. And in places I've worked around the UK, there seems to be some kind of attitude towards immigrants, especially those who are doing lower level jobs. I know once when I worked in London, there was a kitchen. And when I went to that kitchen, there was always people from Ecuador there who were cleaning. And I used to have great conversations with them, because I was practicing my Spanish with them, and we would have a little laugh together. But there was also other employees who would treat them like trash. And it was really, really sad. And in that job, I eventually got fired. And they told me that I was seen in the kitchen too often talking to employees that I shouldn't be mixing with. It was really bizarre. I mean, it was put forward as some kind of British Empire style colonial rule. And I challenged them on that. And of course, they backed down because they know that they shouldn't have said that. I mean, there were other reasons as well, but they raised that. So I think there's something in British people that is just naturally racist. I don't know what it is, and thankfully it is changing. But there is something there. I think it's just years and years and years without seeing immigration, and also a lot of English people would be very uncomfortable talking to foreigners. They just wouldn't know how to do it, and that also makes them feel uncomfortable when they see other people doing that. So yeah, but I feel very sorry for this girl who was fired for eating a tuna sandwich, as we would say in English, from the master's plate. It sounds terrible, doesn't it? Well, that's it from me today. I hope you've enjoyed this. Let's talk again soon. See you. Bye.